everybody, and happy fall. Welcome back to Time Travel Comics. It's a new season, and now it's fall with the leaves changing from beautiful shades of orange, yellow to burgundy. It's a wonderful sight to behold. Fall always brings back some nice memories of walking outside, raking the leaves, seeing people decorate a little bit for Halloween that we're seeing now more than ever before. It's also time for apple picking and enjoying the weather while we can as it gets to the colder months. But it's also a time to fall in love with comic books. And I'm going to show a short sampling of some pics, not of apples from the tree, but from comic books from the Cellar and Spinner Rack. And we're just going to enjoy some seasonal delight. I'm taking a look at some Halloween covers and just some other recent pickups. So stick around, we're going to get our time tokens ready to put into our time machine and go back in time to the 70s and 80s and maybe a little sooner. So hang on, let's go. All right, comic fans and aficionados, we are going to get right to it. It looks like our time machine is working and clicking away. And let's go back to 1974, where we have this beautiful cover. And this right here is from Red Circle Comics, is located in the logo right there. And it was from Fawcett Publication. They usually did paperback books, also Snoopy, small little anthologies. And here we have this nice green and red border. And right in the middle, we're greeted by this fearsome lady, and even her hands on both sides, the shadows in the background. It looks like we're in a radio studio, maybe After Comics studio. If he's watching, a shout out to him. Great videos. I love his runs of the different issues that he has and memorabilia. But I hope it's not After Comic because I wouldn't want him to be scared. But you could see the records right there. Also the microphone and the announcer, DJ, just passing some time before he goes on the air again. But just look at the lighting. This is a Gray Morrow artwork. And this issue here is Red Circle Sorcery number 6. And it's actually a continuation of a series called Chilling Adventures in Sorcery. And this is the new continuation. And looking at the splash page here, kind of an older look here with the horse and such. So we're just waiting for more of the horror, and since Halloween's coming up. But there we have it, those expressions that we all come to know, the storytelling elements, the speeding car, different stories here. But look at the detail and the illustration within this book. And it was a real treat from Fawcett Publication. Even a couple pages of story. Did you know that comic books in the Golden Age included text and writing for 2 pages in order to qualify for bulk rate mailing? That was a little loophole that they used. Otherwise, it wouldn't be as part of media mail. That 1970s car right there, Face of Love, Face of Death. Just a great little story, about 4 stories in total. You can see she's up to no good, walking her way. Just a wonderful book, and I just love the cover. The cover really says it all, and the 4 stories there. Also, Howard Chaykin has a debut here, who's been known for working with Star Wars and Marvel and other titles with Marvel. So here we have a nice sorcery cover. And as we move from one frightful cover to another, we're greeted by DC's The House of Secrets. And just love the darkness here, probably taking place after midnight. You can see that dark sky, stacks of hay right there, and jack-o'-lanterns right in the foreground. And we also have a ghoul-like creature with sutures around his eyes and around his head. And he's placing these pumpkins right here precariously. There's another one in the background, and this ghoul looks almost as if he is headless. But look at the light shining from within the jack-o'-lantern, and this one kind of peeking out right around the corner. And here, just great artwork right there for this cover of House of Secrets. It's a compilation of different stories that DC had lying around in the vault and published and reprinted again. And the first one on this splash page is introducing the Devil's Daughter. She's seemingly very innocent in a pink dress, very calm, but he's convinced that she's pretending to be a witch. And we have on the artwork Steve Ditko and Mike Royer, so that's a treat. Steve Ditko, longtime Marvel Charlton, is actually here with DC putting together a story. You can see the emotion here. Looks like this individual might be her father, might not be, is convinced that she's a devil, and so forth. And quite a story. There are a few of them indeed. And there we have it. Lightning strikes, and the story continues. But we're interrupted by this fun ad right here, kind of a voodoo head, a shrunken head, and turn apples, just talk about apple picking in the fall, into shrunken heads in this sculpture kit. How about that? So it looks like you can add color to it and make it look as hideous as you like. How about that? So you got the shrunken heads, great advertisements, a $6 million man. Again, this is from 1976, just a couple years later after the one we just saw. And here we go. The story continues. The ventriloquist involved. Okay. You know it's going to be good with that. A nice little story. The House of Secrets Speaks fan letter, actually. So just a wonderful, nice compilation of DC's finest right into this book right here. We got a lot of nice in-house ads. Guess Christmas is coming up too. I know the captain likes in-house ads as well as the back covers. Oh, this is nice right there. These first editions that were collectible if you couldn't get your hands on the real thing. But just wanted to show you the artwork there in this House of Secrets book. And because it's the 70s, look at the 70s getup. It's a hippie style that she's wearing. She has her headband on, blouse with stripes, jeans, which is very common. We have our host right there, Mr. Abel. Has a dashing resemblance to Graphic Man, but Graphic Man is way cooler. How about that? And just another story here. So thank you, DC. Also want to show you the staircase. What creepy horror story isn't equipped with this with a staircase here? Looks like a lady in a wheelchair falling down the stairs. That's a frightful sight to see. But look at the illustrative license with the black ink to fill in all the negative space and just creating enough white to create that illusion. So just wonderful artwork there. Also, DC is known for nice 70s car. Look at that. And of course, the back cover for Evel Knievel, just great. Let's continue with some DC greatness with this DC special, and it's 13 shock ending stories in this wonderful book right here. DC did a great job of putting out these DC specials, one for Joe Kubert, one for sports and action, another with space fantasy, and this one is dedicated to, you name it, the horror genre, and some nice sci-fi stories as well. And look at the cover right here. This is a Neal Adams cover. This is the interior. You can see the light. It looks like Let the Trial Begin. There's a trial happening there. And you could see these two kids are looking in the window, not knowing what to expect. And you could just see how she's reacting to it. It's kind of like a witch trial, maybe a Salem witch trial. And we're greeted by a splash page with little kids approaching this haunted house, demanding to hear stories in an attempt to trade one of their creature friends. So these are all the hosts of the different DC comics, from House of Mystery to also the one we just saw, House of Secret. And they're leading a storytelling contest in a way. So they can trade in one of these bigger goons back to the house over there. You can see the artwork going along there. So each of them are challenged in the haunted house to tell a story to the little children in exchange for Igor's friend, who's a frightful monster. So you can see different stories. There are 13 inside here, all drawn by different artists. You have Cain from the House of Mystery, Abel from the House of Secrets, Witching Hour. The three witches are debuted in here as well. Phantom Stranger, also stories. So these are all nice reprints, and they all tell a story. At the beginning, you could see when they stop, it's not good enough, and then the host has to stop and tell another story. And says, I'll tell you, kids, I'll tell you an even better, more scary story. And that's kind of the theme of the book. It just goes on to tell. And then you have right there, Beware of the Dark. That's the beginning of the next story with the Witching Hour host. And it takes from all the greats that they had that DC put out over the years. This is also the first appearance of Abel's character as the host for House of Secrets, and he's right there. And there's the kid there in a smug look, waiting for more stories. So we can kind of act like we're the kids hearing all the stories, and eventually they hand over their friend, who's in the background here. And they say bye. And so the last book we saw was from 1969, but Marvel came up with their answer to it in 1971 with Chambers of Darkness Special. This is a nice big issue. It's a square bound issue. You know you have something good when you have a Marvel square bound. It's a very good minus grade, but it's packed with 5 tales of maddening magic, as you can see here, as a teenager studying for his schoolwork, and all of a sudden a ghost appears right behind him, scaring him. See the lamp tipping over, all the details here, the trophies probably from sport television, a nice 1971 TV set there. And then we have our host that will take us through these 5 stories just like DC did. And the splash page features him right away. Stan Lee and John Buscema teaming up with this book here. All right, you can see the looks like the astrology symbols right there. So it's fun book. The first one begins with a young boy going into a library and stealing a book of magic spells that he wasn't supposed to. And meanwhile, the librarian's kind of muttering away on his own, just to don't touch any book, and just in his own thought as he slips away. The young boy eventually learns a secret. It's a genie that grants him 3 wishes, but with a catch, because the genie can take his own spin on how he wants to grant it. For example, leaving him to have every riches in the world, but he would be isolated and stuck by himself. So just like that, he can pick a wish, but the evil genie spirit will determine a fate for how that wish will turn out. So now the young boy finds himself, what do I do, sweating to make that final wish come true and try to free himself. And then he's got to think of something to save himself. But then he makes his command, and the genie says, no, not that. Don't ask me that. And he wishes to go back in time to where he first was picking up the book, so he knew not to pick it up again. So got a little time traveling in there. That's cool. Look at this great splash page. All the details on this creepy, spooky house, from the cracks in the window to those the shingles on the roof like that. A very Victorian one. Mr. Craven buys his Scream house. So cool. Advertisements right there. But look at that. You got the creaky stairs. You got the webs on the chandelier. Just a great, great book. This is Marvel. This is all Marvel artist contributing. You see more of that bright color palette. See those figures in action here. That uncertainty waiting to happen. Astonishment, disbelief. More advertisements there. But look at that. This is what you're missing with Chamber of Darkness Special, #1 from January of 1971. And let's take a break from the horror and spooky scenes that we just saw to kind of sit back and enjoy some cartoon art with Little Lulu. Nice blue cover with the moon in the background and these pumpkins there. Just enjoy that. Just so carefree and whimsical. Nice touch for Halloween. We have in the corner, hiding behind the big pumpkins, a little witch Hazel. She's mischievous and holding up a scarecrow effigy of a witch, trying to spook right here Lulu Moffat and her friend. So Little Lulu actually debuted in 1935 for the Saturday Evening Post, and since that time, she's also appeared in the Dell four-color series for 10 issues before having her own publication with Margie's Little Lulu right here. The Dell gave rise to Gold Key and continued the story. And Margie is actually short for Marjorie Henderson Buell, who created the character right there. So she's always getting herself into mischief. She has her own thoughts about how to do things, almost like Calvin and Hobbes in a way, kind of predates that, and Dennis the Menace, etc. So very much a joy in newspapers and cartoons. And a few short stories here. And this is from December of 1964. We have advertisement on the left, Golden Magazine for boys and girls. And that's what exactly it was. It was just mild humor, silly humor. We have a witch and her daughter right there. And of course, little Lulu will stumble upon them to get in trouble. Here, little Lulu's looking for a pumpkin and a candle to put into the pumpkin and to help out her friend, but bumps into the cauldron of a witch who says, "Why did you do that?" And then later turns her into a jack-o'-lantern. So she's excited to be a jack-o'-lantern, but she's kind of worried because she doesn't know what her mother will think about it. And she goes around hopping around before she meets Witch Hazel. And then after the candle inside of her, because she is a jack-o'-lantern and jack-o'-lanterns have candles, she becomes a little girl again. So she was worried about it, but now the minute her candle went out, she turned back into a little girl. And that was when she was bummed because she cried so hard that it put the candle out. But silly little stories like that, just a lot of fun, little gags there too. There's parents right there. This probably wouldn't fly in comic books today. But again, this is from December of 1964. So there you have it, little Lulu and Witch Hazel. They go well together, wouldn't you say? Another Halloween pickup that I made not that long ago is this Halloween special for the Netflix series Stranger Things. This is by Dark Horse Comics. It is a one-shot, but you can see they're huddled. The boys are inside and just talking stories, and you can see the jack-o'-lanterns again, just much like that first scene that we saw with the House of Mysteries. There's no shortage jack-o'-lanterns in this episode here. Just love the glow of the light that they use. Even there you could see how it mimics Neil Adam right there. So you have the glow from within, the glow from inside their shack. And this is an interesting series because it's based off the Netflix series. And it's by the Duffer Brothers. They created and paid homage to 1980s movies and themes like Dungeons and Dragons and so forth. The Blob is mentioned in this comic book too. So it takes place in Hawkins, Indiana in 1983. It's still an ongoing series where these young boys provide refuge to an alien from another world, and their adventures take them through twists and turns and quite a lot of fright. So the cover actually here is by Francisco Francavilla, and you can see how he shortens his abbreviation to Francavilla for Mr. Francavilla. You can see the artwork automatically setting the tone for what's to come. You can see the fright right there, like we shouldn't be here. And advertisements, that's spooky, but that's a Bill and Ted. You can see a creature coming in, grabbing. So this is a one shot, not going to spoil the ending. It's a fun story there, and also promotion for other titles for Dark Horse Comics. But the artwork is great. You can see even in the background, in the shadow of the moon, a Stranger Things story. This actually came out in October of 2020. Just want to show real quick at my local comic shop. I picked up some of the Trick or Treat or Trick or Read books rather, and some reprints of the Queen Goblin that just featured last year, and Spider-Man. This is her first appearance, but it's a kind of a rehash of the stories there. Also, Dormammu, very popular with the Doctor Strange franchise. This is Strange Academy. The first issue is becoming quite popular now and gaining traction among collectors. This is the son of Dormammu, and also Star Wars. There's a tie-in right there with Trick or Read. So these are the free comics for Halloween. I love how the comic book stores are doing that. Is giving away some nice material here for the Halloween season. I also picked up Spider-Man #1 that features Ben O'Reilly. This came out just a week ago. This is a variant cover, kind of the action figure look. So these are my modern pickups. Didn't have to travel too far in time to get those. Now to wrap up the video, I just wanted to take a little time to create a segment of some pickups that I have also found traveling through time and using my time machine, and found a low-grade copy of this issue here, number 65 of Tales of Suspense, and it also features the first Silver Age appearance of the Red Skull. Skulls have to do with Halloween, right? So I was happy to get this comic. I'm not going to remove it from the bag. As you can see, it takes a little extra care to do that because it is a probably below good minus, but I was happy to get it for $25 to complete the collection. Also, a great Iron Man story where a thief steals his armor in red and he has to wear his old armor. So, two great spellbinding stories of Iron Man and Captain America in this key issue. So, just wanted to show this pickup and also another pickup right here of John Carter of Mars, a nice Dell book from issue number 488. Just love the cover on this book, just a beauty. Was able to pick it up for about $7 at half price books. So I was just happy to enjoy this art because it's in the same vein as Flash Gordon and so forth. I also picked up a couple other books that are Golden Age comics from 1944 and 1945, and they're popular comics. You can see on the cover that Smiling Jack, popular syndicated feature. Also, Terry and the Pilot, Gangbusters, and Smokey Stover. I'm going to do another video about these as it relates to newspapers and transitioning into the comic book, as Dell had the rights to display these. Popular Comics also featured Felix the Cat, among other stories, and it's just great. The artwork, just right at World War II and just finishing up. You can see here an American plane piloted by Smiling Jack, thwarting away the Zeros. Looks like the Japanese Zeros. Terry and the Pilots again. So we'll take a look at these more in depth, just some pickups that I made this fall, picking apples and also comic books. It's just love the artwork here and what's in here. So we'll explore those in greater detail, but just wanted to show you these two covers. And I also mentioned this DC special. I was able to find a couple more out there, which are the Secret Lives of Joe Kubert, very popular DC artist right there as the camera focuses. And it looks like our time is running out here at Time Travel Comics. Thank you for sticking around as we looked at some of my fall pickups. I hope everybody has a great Halloween and trick or treat, and be well. Thank you.